This is session 3 of I'm a Citizen of. The Hellenistic world that Paul went into was very much about self-achievement. And this is very different from the Jewish culture, the culture of God's people, because they lived in extended families. They'd have a group of rooms around a central courtyard, and they lived together and they cared for one another. The father was the patriarch, and his duty was to see that all family members were cared for. This actually adds to the story of the prodigal son, because we see there the father, he's not just missing the son that he loved, but he actually has a godly duty to see to the son's welfare. And so restoring him to the family was very important. Now when Paul went to Philippi first time, it says he went down to the river to a place of prayer. The word used there could also mean a synagogue, and it's very possible that it was, because the only ones who would want to be near water to worship would be the Jewish people, because they needed to wash before they worshipped. Well, whether it was a synagogue or not doesn't really matter, I guess, but it says there that they came across a God-fearing woman named Lydia. The term God-fearing indicates that she wasn't born Jewish, but that she had come to believe the God of the Jews. So what had attracted her? It must have been something powerful, because we're told she was a dealer in purple. Now this meant she was a wealthy woman and probably had contacts with the imperial palace, because purple dye was extremely expensive and it was only the emperor who would have used it. So here she is, a wealthy, independent woman, attracted by the Jewish faith. So it must have been something very strong, and probably was their lifestyle, their godly lifestyle. Paul began teaching this group about Jesus, and it says Lydia opened her heart, and so did her household. We read about this in Acts 16. We read that she and her household had been baptised. They invited Paul and Silas to stay with them. And it actually says, she persuaded us. So she obviously talked them into it. Now it's easy to skip over this and think, oh yeah, she was a nice, hospitable woman. She had the wealth to be able to have some house guests. But I think there's something more here. She was part of a society that was very much about me and my family. But when Lydia heard the good news of Jesus, she saw that it was not just a new belief, but it was a new way of life. So she wasn't just giving Paul and Silas a place to stay, she was starting a community of believers. So her belief wasn't just head knowledge, she actually went straight into action. Now we gather today in Christian communities, but how much of a community are we? Do we just meet on Sundays and perhaps a prayer meeting during the week? How much are we willing to share to see that all members of our group are cared for? Do we work together for the good of each other? As children of God, we are brothers and sisters. We belong to His family. So how do we care for our family members?
We are the children of light. We are the children of day. So let us worship Him, in whom we have our being, until the coming of the Lord. Come, let us worship now. Let us kneel, let us humbly bow down. He is our God, we are His people, we are the flock in His tent. So come, let us bow. We are the children of God, made in the image of Christ, and on the us kneel